Hey everybody, Stu Smith here. Happy Friday. Hope everybody is doing well. Had a good week so far, I hope. Um, who's ready for a change? I know I am. Every season in my system of training, and I put a link into the information below. I call it Seasonal Tactical Fitness Periodization Training. And in the fall, we start transitioning out of a high repetition calisthenics, some supplemental weights, not a whole lot, but a lot of running and swimming. Um, and when I say a lot of running, I don't mean long, slow distance. I just mean you accumulate a lot of mileage by the end of the week 25, 30, sometimes 35 miles a week. But it's a mix of goal pace running, sprints, hills, trails, sand, all of that. So, um, anyway, we are making that change. So, what does that mean? Well, it usually means we are pretty beat up by the end of a cycle and ready for something new. So it doesn't matter what cycle that is. At the end of our lift cycle in the spring, we are all dying to get outside and start running. But we do it smart. We progress with the running cycle, starting off low, maybe 10 miles a week is about all we really maintain during the winter. And we start ramping it up, try to build up over the next 12, 24 weeks, even of, a lot faster timed runs and stuff. So anyway, we are ending the month of October with what we call the Spec Ops Try Triathlon. So yes, every Monday of this month, starting last week, we did our first 4 mile run, 4 mile ruck, 1 mile swim, open water, Sandy Point, and we're doing another one on Monday, and we're doing another one on the last Monday of the month, and it has been a blast. A lot of fun. But it's kind of our grand finale for mileage and everything like that. And then November, everything kind of slows down. And why does that happen? Well, we've kind of peaked out on our speed, on our distance, on our high reps. Everybody's crushing PSTs. And that's kind of where we wanted to be. Now the goal is over the fall and winter is get into a lift cycle, right? And we do two things with that. We focus on maintaining all the cardiovascular and muscle stamina gains that we made over the spring and summer by still running, still swimming a lot. But we're also adding in calisthenics as warm-ups and then topping that off with some weight training and working on getting some guys a little more mass because face it, some guys are coming in pretty light. They need to put on 10, 15 pounds of muscle just to be able to be a little more durable, especially under rucks, under logs, under boats. And for those guys, I'm talking about guys that come in about 150, 160, probably need to put on 10, 15 pounds for their height, depending on what that is. Some guys need to lose weight. We also have guys that are coming in at 250, played college football, have already lost 30 pounds, probably need to lose another 30 more, maybe even 40 more, depending on their height, and get a little faster. So we kind of mix it up a little bit so they're not all getting killed with last thing they need is to go lift. So we'll probably lift a little with them, but mainly focus on some cardio. So anyway, I am here to take some questions. Just wanted to introduce you to Seasonal Tactical Fitness Periodization if you are not used to it, if you've never heard me talk about it. We are transitioning out of this high rep calisthenic and mileage phase of running, going to rest our joints a little bit, strengthen them a little bit, put on some muscle mass over the fall and winter, and then come back around in the spring and just do it all again. So spring and fall tend to look alike, but just in reverse. So it's a downward progression of running during the fall, but we're increasing the weights and decreasing the reps. Flip it around over the in the spring, and it's an upward progression of running. And we start taking out weights and adding in more calisthenics reps. So spring and fall, I tend to call it more like the 50-50 phase, where about half the workouts calisthenics, half the workouts weights. And then in the winter, it's pretty much all weights other than a warm up with calisthenics. And then the summer, it's mostly calisthenics with maybe a few supplemental weights if you're really hurting. And a lot of those weights get put in there through sandbags, kettlebells, weight vests, things like that, just in case the high reps aren't working for you and we need to build some strength. There's always ways to make these adjustments. So no system or generic training program is going to be personally designed for you. So sometimes you got to make those tweaks. And so anyway, that's what I'm here for. Answer those type of questions if you have them, or other questions. Let me know. So we'll go through some of these questions right now. What's happening in the Navy SEAL world? Are they getting action in this day and age? Yes and no, not as much as they used to, but there is still plenty of stuff going on in the world. You're just not hearing about it. Way it should be. Any advice for imbalances? I think my right hip flexor is tighter than my left hip flexor. I think it affects my upper body too. Yeah, it could. You know what? My advice, especially when you're talking about tight anything, is you got to add more static stretching and movements that really engage the hips. For me, we'll do deficit squats where you go really deep, or goblet squats where you take your dumbbell or kettlebell to your chest and go down real deep, almost deeper than a catcher would playing baseball, and get in there and roll around a little bit. Another option is yoga, taking some yoga based classes. I think some of my best flexibility in hips have come from yoga classes. Also, get in the pool and tread water, and try to tread water with no hands. One, it's a great skill, especially if you're going in any diving or Spec War, Navy Spec War, Marine Corps pipeline. You're going to be in the water and you're going to be asked to tread. So learning how to tread is important, but it also loosens the hips up a lot. So if you do scissor kicks left, scissor kicks right, play around with the breaststroke kick, try some egg beater kick, which is really nothing more than an alternating breaststroke kick. Then do some aqua jogging where you just running in the water. Do all your dynamic stretches that you can think of when you're on land before a running workout. Do them in chest deep water, and leg swings front and back, high knees, butt kickers, leg swings side to side, all of those. And I promise you, your hips will feel so much better. My hips at age 51 feel so much better after I do what I just told you I do. Like no pain, even in high mileage running cycles, which we are. And I'm hanging with my guys as much as I can. Not as fast as they are these days, but I'm still getting the mileage in, and I feel it. But I really can help myself get over some of that tightness by getting in the water and really loosening up. So that is what I would recommend. Let's see. On the PST, would it be better to score 7:30 swim and a 9:45 run, or say a 9-minute swim and a 9-minute run? Well, both are passing. But my recommendation is to be closer to 9 minutes on the run, closer to 8 minutes on the swim. That's kind of our standard. Now, that's not the Navy standard. It's going to be close to that. and you do a 9-minute run, 9-minute swim, that's fine. I personally like a little bit more gravy in there, just in case on the day that you have to take it and it's for real. And it's like, if you don't pass it, you're going to lose your contract, which will happen one day, probably at prep. And if you don't have enough gravy in there and you're barely squeaking by, I like to have a little gravy in there. So anyway, do you prefer numbers of sets and reps with weightlifting? You know what? I like to mix it up quite a bit. There will be a cycle in our winter cycle where we do a lot of 5x5s. It's probably, I would say that's my favorite. However, some weeks we will do just all sets of 3s, sets of 2s, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 drop sets where we're working towards a 1-rep max. But yeah, there's some 3x15s in there as well, maybe even 5x15s, just to get some volume in there for some guys that need to work on technique and the movement itself. But those are good hypertrophy zones, and then the other one's more of a strength zone. So yeah, you need to do both, I think. Sometimes we'll start off with a hypertrophy cycle where we're still mixing some calisthenics in there, or weighted calisthenics in there, and then turn it into a strength cycle afterwards. Any advice on training for 6-hour or 12-hour Go Ruck events? Yes, they're hard. So you need to get a backpack on and just cruise with that thing. Take a weekend and go hiking, carry odd stuff with you, like a sandbag or a log, something that's just uncomfortable. Get your feet tougher. The actual program I have that I've actually used with people preparing for Go Ruck programs is my Army Ranger SF workout program. In fact, there's a section in there for Go Ruckers to read, and it's for you guys as well. It's like a 12-week program, so it will definitely give you what you need to get through that 12-hour event. 7:30 swim is overkill. I wouldn't say that. If you can do it and it's easy, it's a different story. If you're wasting every bit of energy you have to do a 7:30, absolutely overkill. We've had people that could do a 7:30 and not even go anaerobic, just because they were such good swimmers. So it depends. If you're a non-swimming athlete, 7:30 is going to be hard. But if you come in here with a swimming background and you could normally do a 506 minutes, backing it down to 7:30 is not overkill. So it depends on who you are. Any recommendations for very hard conditioning workouts? Recommendations for handling them or different types? I got a whole bunch of them. Fall winter lift cycle. There's another lift cycle, tactical strength. If you want ideas for implementing them into your own program, here's one of my favorites, the Warrior Workout Series. This is volume 2, and it's actually designed to be a periodization cycle. Every 25 is 25 workouts that you would do in the summer, 25 workouts you would do in the fall, 25 workouts you do in the winter. So it's divided like my periodization program is, but they're a la carte workouts. It's not a program. These are just 100 of my favorite workouts put into a book. And I actually have 3 books of those. So if you want recommendations for very hard conditioning workouts, here's 300 of them there. Now, it's not a program. You're going to have to pick an upper body day, a lower body day, a cardio day, a full body, however you want to design that into your world. These, however, are more programs. These actually, you don't have to do any thinking and you just follow from A to B. All right. What's my favorite food or meal? Steak. Steak and big old thing of broccoli and asparagus with some potatoes. Yes. Cooked on a grill. Question on pull-ups. I can get to chin over the bar about 7 reps, but can do more bar pull-ups. What muscles are fatiguing that I can't get that extra range of motion between 2 and over? Could just be a shoulder mobility issue versus muscles fatiguing. Yeah, I would say probably a little combination of your lats and your biceps are just burned out. You need to get better at pull-ups by mixing in pull-ups with try a few weight vest pull-ups, try some volume workouts. I got one called the pull-up push. Pavel has one called Grease the Groove. Do some research on that. You may find a way to bump up your pull-ups pretty quickly. So let's see. Recovering from bone marrow transplant. Ooh, hope you recover well. Good luck with that. Not allowed to do any weight-bearing exercises. Being medically discharged as a police officer in Australia. We're still in lockdown here. Should I focus on stretching and routine workout? I'm 43. Feel like I'm 93. Hang in there, man. Following Parker's fitness routines. No politics. All right. Well, my suggestion is I have a series of workouts called the Tactical Fitness Over 40 program. I realized that I wrote this 4-part series a couple of years ago when I realized that I had been in this business now for 20 years. And some of the people who first started out with me 20 years ago are now in their 40s. So I was neglecting them. And so I created a program because I am now 51. And probably about 5 years ago, I started creating this. I was in my mid 40s, and I felt a lot of the same things everybody else is feeling when you get that old. Just standard aches and pains from a life of activity, injuries, sports, contact injuries, you name it, training injuries, and still going hard. So that's a good one. If you send me an email, I'll send you that first one free, and you can take a look at it and see if that's something you would like to do the others with. But the first one's going to last you 2 or 3 months of just kind of rebuilding your foundation. In fact, that's what it's called. It's called Tactical Fitness Over 4, Rebuilding the Foundation After Illness or Injury. So I think that's probably going to be your best one for it. It's got a lot of stretching in it, got a lot of mobility activities in it, but it actually has some cardio and resistance training in there as well. It might be more calisthenic and dumbbell based at first versus very heavy stuff. So it might be perfect for you, but I'm happy to send it to you if you send me an email. For us 50-ish guys, yes. You said mostly focus on bench presses for your body weight now. I don't remember saying that today, maybe recently. What about other lifts, squats? Oh, okay. Yeah. Here's something I've learned over the years, and especially after 40, I learned there's 2 ways I tend to get injured. I either tend to get injured because I run too fast, that means sprinting, or I lift too heavy. 1 rep max in anything. So what I have decided I do now is 80% is the new 100%. I'm not trying to break any records. I am trying to see what I can do with my own body weight, weigh 200 pounds. If I can do that 15 times, I'm pretty happy. In fact, I did it last week. So I'm pretty happy. And, pull-ups, weighted pull-ups, 15 weighted pull-ups, pretty happy with that. But yeah, squats, I probably play around with 1.5 times body weight on those. So 200 pounds, I play around with 300 pounds, deadlift, 300 pounds. Pretty easy. I don't go for not a 1 rep thing. I could probably do it 5-6 times, leaving one in the hole just so I don't hurt myself. But the way I look at it is this. There's not many times in my life will there be something that weighs 400 pounds that I'm going to bend over and pick that up for any reason, right? I'm going to have a dolly, going to have a wheelbarrow, going to pick it up with some common sense. So, hey, I come from a powerlifting background. For me to be able to check my powerlifting ego in and say, you know what? I think I'm done with lifting heavy weights. Can I be happy with my body weight and 1.5 times my body weight for reps? Yes, I can. And I feel much healthier about it. And that's what's the most important thing. Because the last thing I want to do is go sprinting with a 20-year-old and pull a hamstring, and now I can't run for 2 months. Last thing I want to do is have a bench press contest with someone and blow out a pec, and now I got to get surgery and I'm down for 6 months. So I'm just trying to avoid injury, right? And if I can not be injured, then I win. So now when I was younger, I didn't care, right? Sprinted, heavy lifting, all that good stuff. Do you know of an assessment process for getting in reserve NSW unit? Also, what type of interview questions? I have no idea. I mean, pretty much if you're going to a reserve NSW unit, you already have to be in the community, active duty, getting out, going into a reserve Navy Special Warfare unit. To my knowledge, I don't know anything else about it. So that's how I would understand how that works. Hey, I did Jeff Nichols' hypertrophy program. That's a great one. Awesome results. Put on 20 pounds. Perfect. That's what they're for. But when starting running, now I can't go more than a few days and now without shin pain. Oh, yeah, putting on some extra weight while you're running kind of sucks. You're going to have to get your body used to running again. But it also depends on what you're doing. 220 pounds is pretty darn big. If you're trying to go through a Spec Ops program, I would have personally recommended you stay at 200 at 6'2". But that's just me, because you're going to be running your ass off and rucking. So I guess it kind of depends on what you're going for. My personal recommendation, I would keep pacing the runs. But in the end, like I said, it depends. If you're a football player at 6'2", 220, I think that's a pretty good weight for a football player. Maybe even be heavier, and you're running 100-yard sprints. That's one thing. But if you're trying to go for a Spec Ops program and you got to run longer distance, I would seriously not be much heavier than where you are, and maybe even try to lose some weight. Or just get your body used to running, and you're going to have to progress logically back into running again. Maybe even treating yourself like a beginner, because basically what you are doing in a short period of time, you gain 20 pounds. That's like running with a 20-pound backpack on when you were at 200. And you remember how that felt? Kind of sucked. It's no different on your knees and shins. Yeah, but let me know what you're trying to do, and I might be able to better answer that, Austin. I'm not really sure what you're asking there for what goals, because your goals matter. Hey, Stu, 22 years old, past 6 months, I've been doing your calisthenics program, just run programs. And my half mile is almost 3 minutes. Good. A mile at 85, 90% effort is 7 minutes. That's good. That's where you want to be. I tell people this, when you're preparing for running, you want two paces. You want a 6-minute mile pace for timed runs, and you want a 7-minute mile pace for longer timed runs, being in the 4 to 5 mile range, right? So you can push that 6-minute mile pace for 1.5, 2, if you're Marine Corps, 3, for 3 miles, and then you're going to want to maintain that 7-minute mile pace for 4 and 5 miles, maybe even 6 for programs like Buds, which is a 4-mile timed run every week. Army Rangers got a 5-mile timed run just to get into Ranger School. And then SF does a lot of 6-mile runs. You need to be in the sub 7-minute range, in those things. Let's see. I know I may have to cycle through again if need be, if I'm determined. Yeah, it's normal progress, I would think. 3 minutes, 6-minute mile pace. Nothing wrong with that. Did the SEAL program change its requirements? I would recommend going to sealswick.com and seeing if they changed the requirements. If it's changed on that webpage, it's probably changed. But somebody asked me this question the other day, and I went to the SEALSWIC website, and it was not changed. So same thing. You can still go there at 17, 18 years old, which I don't recommend because most people don't make it at 17, 18 years old. Somebody had said that they're upping the age to 20, I guess, which I'm all for. If they do, I think that's great. You're going to probably have a lot more mature students there that can actually handle training versus quitting before they even start. But no, to my knowledge, they haven't changed. If they're talking about it, I think that's great. Let's see. All right. Bet you got a ton. Oh, yeah, whatever. How do I feel about the ethos change? I usually don't care about those things. Really don't like getting into the politics of all that. But I will say this. The Naval Academy changed their alma mater decades ago, probably about 2 decades ago, and that thing's been over 100 years old, to make it more inclusive, because there are women that go to the Naval Academy. So I don't see a problem with it. However, there are no women in special warfare right now, but it's also not inviting to women when you have that kind of an ethos. So I see both sides on that one. I will say this. There are a couple really tough women who have impressed a lot of people here at the Naval Academy, and they chose Navy EOD, had an opportunity to choose SEALs, but they chose Navy EOD because they said after all the process of the going through the screener and SOAS and interviews, that they felt like Navy EOD wanted them. They felt like they were really becoming part of that group, where they didn't feel like it, going through the SEAL selection. So I don't know. That's a tough one. A lot of people don't like it. I can agree with that. A lot of people didn't like it the way it was because it's not very inviting to new horizons. So there you go. Sorry. It's about as political as I get. Somewhere right in the middle. Oh, let's see. Any thoughts on creating Stu Smith swim program similar to how you do your running programs, build up mileage? Um, I could. Um, I mean, all of my workouts are swim programs. I mean, this has a run program in it. It just is less running. This has a lot of swimming in it every day, 5 out of 6, sometimes, yeah, I'd say 5 out of 6 days, there is a swim workout in there. So there are swim programs in my, definitely in my Navy Spec Ops, Marine Corps diving books, um, workout programs, but a swim program by itself, I don't know. I would say this: if you need a swim program by itself and something that you can do for a month, maybe 6 weeks, something that is a really good first time in the pool, getting in shape, learning the technique, is the freestyle side stroke 50-50 workout. So here's what you do: you jump in the pool, you swim 500 yards any way you can, just get it done and try not to stop. Soon that will be a warm up for you, because my goal is to make that 500-yard PST swim a warm up for the rest of the events. That's how I want you thinking. That will help with a lot of the anxiety going into those tests. But if you practice every time you jump in a pool, you swim 500 yards because that's your warm up, it will soon become your warm up, and you'll be able to apply that to that mentality to the PST, which will help you really, really well with performing a lot better on the secondary events after the swim. But here's what you do: jump in 500 yard, do your warm up. Okay. Any way you want. Then you do a 50-yard or meter freestyle hard, like really push it, maybe even mix in some skip breathing, hypoxic swims, whatever you want to call it, 6 to 8 strokes per breath, get really winded, sprint it, however you want to do it, get it done, get hard, be winded when you're done. Then you go right into a CSS 50 and you try to catch your breath during that CSS. And if you can go through that 10 rounds, that's 1,000 yards. So total, you just done a 1,500-yard swim. And I promise you, you do that for a month. Every time you swim 1,500 yards, you will be in shape to crush a 500-yard CSS. In fact, I've seen guys go from 10:30 to 8 flat in 4 weeks. Right? We taught them how to do a 50 yards in 50 seconds, and then they got in shape for it in about 4 weeks. So it can happen. So 4 to 6 weeks of that, I promise you, that's a great swim program. I'll put a link into the video, or I'm sorry, into the description on the workout that I just mentioned. Also, I have a running workout that does very similar type of things. It's a single workout that you can do every other day, just to focus on your goal pace and learn how to maintain that goal pace for whatever distance you're shooting for. Do I know any SF guys in the Louisville, Kentucky area? Not close to getting a contract. I don't, unfortunately. Sorry. Should I do a full body workout or a split? Great question. You know what? It depends. I think it's a real easy to do full body workouts with calisthenics. When we do full body workouts with weights, we are trashed, and it just takes another day to recover. It's really hard to do. So I have some full body workout weight days in some of my workouts, but I try not to do them too often. But most of the time with weights, we'll split. With calisthenics, we'll split most time, upper body day, lower body day. It's probably the best way to split them. That way you get a good push pull on upper body day. But with weights, you can play around with the splits a little more. Do your pull one day, your push one day, and your leg one day. That will give you plenty of recovery time if you do that cycle twice during the week. For what I've seen and experienced. But yeah, it just depends. The Murph is a great full body workout. It's going to work your push, your pull, your legs, and your running. That's a great calisthenic workout that doesn't really crush you that much as far as recovery, because it's more of calisthenics. But that kind of volume, you need a recovery day to do it. You don't want to do that back-to-back days. Not saying you recover that quick from calisthenics. All right. Any shoulder stability exercises? Yes, I got a great one called the lightweight shoulder workout. 6 exercises. If you do a Google search, lightweight shoulder workout, Stu Smith, you will see it. I promise you won't be disappointed. In fact, I even have a YouTube video on all 6 exercises that you mix into a 5-pound dumbbell movement. It is awesome. I've been doing it for 22 years now, and never go any heavier. Only do it on upper body days, a couple times during the workout, and it works really well. And it just focuses on the small muscles of the shoulder, mainly the rotator cuff muscles. How can I substitute swimming in your programs? I like the complete guide. How can I substitute swimming? I actually have a couple articles on that. I think it's called like No Gym, Can't Swim. Stu Smith, if you search that, you'll see a great article on it. But typically, here's what we do. We will replace swimming with another non-impact cardio activity. First choice, biking, elliptical, rowing. Those are probably the big 3. If you have another non-impact activity that you can do, I would recommend adding that. Some people skate, another option. So the goal is replace that cardio activity with another cardio activity. If you can't replace it with a non-impact activity, you just have to assess yourself if you can handle more mileage of running or maybe even rucking for that replacement. That's all. So you're probably going to be in a moderate to high mileage running cycle anyway if you're doing that workout book. But if you can handle more mileage running, go for it. Now, what happened this year with COVID, we had to quit swimming in March. Pool shut down. We started doing some open water swims, but it just wasn't enough to get there every day to do it. We did a couple days a week to kind of maintain. I had a little swim bungee that I hooked to a ladder and swam in a neighbor's pool that was like 20 feet across. That was a good option. And then we just ran more. Our progression was a little steeper than normal. So that's what I would do. Good question. I get that asked a lot, but I've written about it a lot too. So if you just Google Stu Smith, non-impact cardio, swimming replacement, even wrote an article called Swimming Without Water, where you just work the muscles that are swimming and then some form of cardio with it. You do a Google search on that, you'll see it. Been attempting to trail run. I love trail runs, but I get terrible shin splints. I just get the opposite. In fact, if I run on pavement, it hurts too much. So I switched to treadmill. Is that a poor alternative? No, if it's not causing you pain, it's not a bad alternative. That would be my recommendation. Yeah. Either one. Whatever doesn't cause pain is what I'd recommend. Check your shoes. Maybe, I have noticed a couple of things too. Some people are getting lower back pains and shin pain because it's so dark in the morning when we're running. And I think what happens is when you can't see the ground that you're running on, your back and feet make these little micro adjustments thinking it's about to hit the ground. until it actually hits the ground. And we're getting some back soreness and shin pain just because it's so dark in the morning when we're running at 6 a.m. right now. So tell everybody to bring their flashlights so their bodies can adjust to actually hitting the ground on time. Because that is something. In fact, if you've ever walked and thought you were on your last step of a stairway, and then you took that next step thinking there wasn't another step, then all of a sudden, your foot hits and sends a shock wave up your whole spine. That's what's happening on a micro level when you can't see the ground that you're running on. So consider that if you're having weird shin pain or lower back pain while you're running right now, it's probably because it's just too dark and you need some lights so you can see, when you're hitting. It's weird, but probably my biggest lower back pain mystery came from running in the dark until I figured it out. I think I have your old version, but we'll check. I started with your stuff in 2001. Nice. Oh, well, thank you. Just because I've been at it for a long time doesn't make me a legend, but I appreciate the sentiment. What would you consider good big 3 lift numbers before entering the pipeline? I actually wrote an article on that. It's called Assessment. Let me see what it's called. It is called Assessment Tools for To and Through Selection. So I have all the PST numbers you need here, 4-mile timed runs, rucks. I have a body weight bench press 10 to 15 times. I have deadlift 1 to 5 reps for 1.5 your body weight. The more the better. If you can do 5 reps, I would say that would be a good number. Same with squats, 1.5 times your body weight, 5 reps or more. But I tell you what's more important, being able to do a chest carry lunge for a 1/4 mile with 40 pounds like this with a sandbag, because you're going to be doing that with a log for sure. Hang clean. If you can hang clean, 0.75, 0.5, 0.75 of your body weight, 5 to 10 reps. It's a good one. Rucking 10 to 12 minute miles for 40, 50 pounds. But yeah, there's an physical assessment tool for To and Through Selection is the name of the article. And you'll see a big list there of what I would recommend. But it doesn't require world-class powerlifting strength for sure. You're going to want to be able to have some good, decent lifts under your belt at one point in your life, but you're going to want to also turn into a cardio machine so you can handle, the mileage of running, rucking, and swimming that I call the Spec Ops Triathlon. You should do some of those. Run, ruck, swim. In fact, in the Complete Guide to Navy SEAL Fitness, you'll see run, swim, runs. They're a great workout too. What you could do is just turn one of those into a ruck. So run, swim, rucks. Call it Spec Ops Triathlon. What's the longest have I gone without working out? Woo! I don't even know. I've been working out since I was 12 years old. I mean, I think I had the flu once. Kept me off of anything for a week. I don't know. Even when I had surgery, I was doing upper body stuff, ankle surgery. I was doing upper body stuff as soon as I got out of the hospital. So I don't know. Like I said, I've just never taken off unless I was sick or injured. And even then, I tried to work around the injury, so I was at least doing something. I don't know, it's just a part of you, man. It's kind of like asking, how long have you gone without brushing your teeth? Hopefully not too long. My shoulder is too lax, according to my PT, but I haven't been able to visit him because of the coronavirus. Try the lightweight shoulder workout. I think that will help you really kind of build some more stability in there. But also, hang cleans, push presses. Those are also really good. Pull ups, push ups, all those will help with the shoulder stability. Just make sure it's all balanced. Thoughts of collegiate gymnasts going to buds? Woo! Yeah, they have some of my favorite test scores to share with people are from a collegiate gymnast. 72 pull-ups on a pull-up test. Yes, not lying. That was impressive. What should one look out for? Well, usually gymnasts are fairly small, so you're probably going to be in the Smurf crew, most likely. You need some durability, which usually do. Pound for pound, you guys are really strong, so I doubt you'll have a whole lot of issues there. Just check on your load bearing. How's it feel when you're rucking, running? You're not used to long distance running. Maybe depending on your swim and your body fat percentage, might be challenging to float. Just the little things that lean athletes tend to deal with. Yeah, assess yourself. Like I said, take that physical assessment tool that I just mentioned for to and through selection and go through it from top to bottom and see where you are. I have some recommendations of where you need to be. And you can say, oh, this is my weakness. I need to focus on this. This is my weakness. I need to focus on this. Oh, this is a strength. Let me maintain that while I focus on this weakness. That's what training for this stuff is all about. That's why we go in these cycles where we try to maintain a certain level of strength, even though we're not lifting weights. And we try to increase our cardio and muscle stamina. And then we try to maintain our cardio and muscle stamina while we're trying to build some strength. That may fall a little bit, but the goal is to build strength and maybe some muscle mass. So that is the cycle. Those two elements of fitness work well together. And sometimes it's almost impossible to work on 1 rep max strength or hypertrophy or whatever while you are trying to get good at running timed runs. Now, if your test is a 40-yard sprint or a 100-yard sprint, different story, different energy system. To be able to pass a 1.5 mile or a 4-mile timed run requires a little more effort in the running category. That may take away from your ability to put on mass. It may take away your ability to put on some strength numbers, depending on how you're lifting, or it may slow you down because you're lifting so much. So that's why we kind of cycle through the way we do. There is a method to the madness. I don't just make this stuff up. I've been doing it for 20 years. It's a system of training. Do I have any opinion on minimalist running shoes for stronger lower legs? Yeah, you know what? I use them. I tend to use my Zero shoes. I guess they're called Zero, the XERO, Zero shoes for trail runs and beach runs. I don't like using them on pavement. Just doesn't feel right. I tend to use a Brooks Beast for more pavement runs. But yeah, I like them. I like using them. I will use them for maybe gravel runs or dirt runs, some pavement if I have to cross pavement during that process. But most of the time I use a thicker soled shoe for, especially if that pavement has a lot of hills, because going downhill just sucks on pavement if you're wearing minimalist shoes. Okay, that's just my opinion. But yes, I like them. Just I tend to use them for softer ground running. Recovering from renal kidney failure. Ouch. Damn, how'd you do that? That's tough. Recommend with proper doctor guidance instead of going hard on weights. I supplement sandbags and TRX pace runs. Yeah, I would agree with that. Especially if that was that like a rhabdomyolysis issue that you had kidney failure from? Could be. I don't know. Crazy. Yeah, you probably need to take some time and transition back into weights. Maybe build a calisthenic base for a little while with some TRX. Not overdo it, especially if it was rhabdo related. In fact, I wrote an article about rhabdo. In fact, it's almost like this 3-phase process that occurs that you get a heat casualty, that maybe you've had some kind of chest congestion, and then you have a heat casualty because your body's not really perspiring and your respiratory system's a little jacked up. So you get a heat casualty from that. And then all of a sudden that turns into you're dehydrated on top of doing all this. And now you have rhabdo. So, and then your congestion turns into pneumonia. So that is a brutal 1-2-3 punch, 1-2 punch, kick in the nuts type of thing to try to recover from. I wrote an article on that. And unfortunately, it is pretty common in some of the Spec Ops selection programs, especially if you are running with a lot of congestion, you're dehydrated, and it just snowballs down from there. So, yeah, go see a doctor or try your best to stay more hydrated if you can, and clear your lungs out. Whew. All right, couple more, and then I got to go. Didn't realize this would go so long. So I need to gain weight. I need to get better at running. What should I do? It depends. I would say, what is your athletic history? If you have a propensity to being able to get better at running faster because you're lighter, I would go through a calisthenic running based program. So that will be your kind of hypertrophy phase while you're getting better at running. But you got to eat. If you want to gain weight, you got to eat. You can gain weight and still run, but you got to eat like a horse, right? And then after you've kind of gotten maybe some muscle mass built from calisthenics, then let's try to put a hypertrophy cycle on there. Decrease the running a little bit, put some weight on, put some strength on, and let's see how that works for you. So I would say you got 2 cycles in front of you. I would probably start you off with a calisthenic running base program and then build into a more weight gain program. But like I said, you can still gain weight during a calisthenics program. All right, been doing your workouts. Really enjoy the been replacing swim workouts with heavy bag workouts. That's a good idea. 55, feeling good. Need to quit eating like a teenager. Yes, don't we all, man? It's as you age, I'd say once you turn 40, you learn you can no longer outwork your diet. And it really, even if you eat clean, it's a matter of portion control. You just got to eat less than you did when you were 20, for sure. That's the biggest problem right there. All right. Is it better to do hypertrophy day than a run day, or do both together? Well, here's the problem is you don't really have a hypertrophy day. You have a hypertrophy cycle. A day in a hypertrophy cycle is going to be just a day of a cycle that you focus on hypertrophy. You can run during hypertrophy phases. You just have to eat for the amount of calories that you just burned off in addition. So otherwise you won't gain any weight. So like I said, if you're adding a 500 calorie run to a workout, You need to add another 500 calories to balance out that run. Otherwise, you will lose your gains, as people say, which I hate that term because you won't lose your gains if you eat big. If you want to be big, you got to eat big. That's all you got to remember, right? You can still run. You can still train for a marathon and gain weight, but you got to eat like a freaking horse. Oh, let's see. A couple more. Let's see. They also have a ton of buds candidates in back order. Back order because of COVID. Friend was just performance drop for running and he had a 28-minute 4-mile. Yeah, that sucks. They are back ordered right now. So don't be in a hurry to go because last place you want to be is in quarantine on a Navy base, can't go anywhere. Stay at home, work out for another couple months. Why you want to join the Navy right now? Stay home and train. All right. So, hey, Stu, awesome see live stream. Hey, glad to do it. Glad you're listening. Any running, any book, sucked at running, any book that teaches you the very basic fundamentals of running. I used to run 6-7 minute miles at my best, and that was a struggle. I do have a Spec Ops running program that's pretty good. It takes you from 15 miles a week to about 35 miles a week in a 26-week cycle. So you need some mileage going into it, but I also have some good articles. If you go to stewsmithfitness.com and click the articles link, scroll down because I've written 2 running articles with a ton of links in there that can really help you with some of the basic programming of zero running to maybe you're at 5 miles a week or you're at 10 miles a week and where to start, on the charts. Kind of a beginner, intermediate, advanced progression thrown in there. But as far as any books dedicated to running, I only have one, and that's the Spec Ops running program. I'll put a link for it in the description below, but you can find it on stewsmithfitness.com. Let's see. A couple more. Yes. Yes, if you guys go to stewsmithfitness.com and use the SAVE 2020 code, SAVE 2020 code, you save 20% off some of those purchases. Let's see. Why do we reduce inflammation when it's a natural recovery tool? Hey, man, inflammation hurts. Obviously, if you have inflammation on an injury, probably should keep it there. It's going to remind you that you're injured. Probably you'll baby it a little better. But if you have inflammation in other areas of your body, could lead to more systemic damage, such as higher blood pressure, you name it. So more chronic stress related, stress causes inflammation, which is not the kind of inflammation you want. So there is a response to stress that is called inflammation. Sometimes it's physical stress from overuse. Sometimes it's just emotional stress that you just swell up and retain water. That's not healthy. So I guess it kind of depends. I know when I've had sprained ankles, there's not a whole lot you can do about it. Just got to let it run its course. And that swelling will definitely keep you from walking on it much. So there's a yin and yang to inflammation. I would agree with you, but I wouldn't read too much into it. If it hurts, ice it. Right. And if you need the inflammation gone, put some compression on it and elevate it. What exactly is good aerobic capacity? Does that mean you have a low resting heart rate? Yeah, I guess. I guess you could make it that general of a statement. but you just have the ability to maintain a certain amount of activity with a lower heart rate. So you are not in a, anaerobic zone where you're mainly burning hard blood sugar and you're going to be somewhat burned out relatively quickly. It's kind of comparing your ability to walk versus your ability to run, right? If you get in really good aerobic conditioning, you're able to run a marathon versus walk a marathon. Now, if you can get in really good aerobic conditioning, you can run a marathon in 5-minute miles, right? That is a really good aerobic capacity, right? And anaerobic threshold, you name it, VO2 max, they all kind of go hand in hand together. But regardless, you want to be able to breathe, you want to be able to move, you want to be able to maintain that certain movement for a period of time, whatever that is, a period of a game, a day of work, whatever, and have a relatively lower heart rate so you can do it for longer and not waste a lot of energy. So, what do I mean it's that time of the month? I didn't say that time, that's that time of the year. It's fall and winter. We're lifting, getting out of our running cycle and calisthenic cycle, and we're going into the weight room. Or we're taking the weight room outside because of COVID. We're actually, check out some social media probably this weekend. I'll have an outdoor bench press that we're going to try out and see how it works, like a portable bench press workout routine. See how that works with us today or this weekend. So yeah, we're lifting more. Seasonal Tactical FItness Periodization. Check it out. All right, let's see what's going on. A few more questions. Do I know anything about SO contracts not allowing waivers? No. I just know they're so backed up right now that it's just harder to get in right now. So, but if you're a solid candidate, they'll let you in. It's just competitive again. 19 years old, 150 pounds, around 9% body fat. Think I should gain anything? Yeah, I think it depends on your height. If you're 5 foot tall, it's pretty good. But yeah, not a bad idea to gain some weight at 150 pounds, especially if you have Spec Ops future where you got to be doing a lot of load bearing strength training. All right. So you guys check out StuSmithFitness.com. If I did not get to your question, I apologize. But leave it in the comment section on this YouTube channel or on Facebook, and I will get back to it. So, hey, you guys have a good weekend, and I will chat with you later.